Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 76th episode of the Mander Podcast. I'm your co-host, Roger Bodee, joined as always with my best friend and other co-host, Michael Hamilton. Michael, I quit.
Okay, I thought we were going to do a full episode, or not a full episode, at least a partial episode before you... Wait, come back.
All right. I'll give an explanation. I figure we owe it to people. No mic drop moment.
No mic drop. Okay. So you are stepping away, but at least we're gonna do this little episode first, right?
Yeah, this little finale, final. See you later, Rathe Cowboy.
Yeah.
In honor of Cowboy Bebop.
I now know this reference because you told me what it meant.
Yeah, you should watch the anime. It's a good one. It's a space western. It's like cowboys in space.
Okay, maybe at some point I'll check it out.
And it's got one of the bangingest opening theme tracks of all time. It's so good.
Okay.
I'd sing it, but I couldn't do it justice. It's just too good.
I feel like it's hard to do an anime opening justice by singing it.
Well, it's in English. It's just like a jazz orchestral thing more so than anything like that.
Okay.
I think it starts out, come on, everybody, let's get this thing down. Ready, 3, 2, 1, let's do it. And then it kicks off a jazz thing.
I'll have to go check it out after this.
Yeah. So I tried casting this past weekend, and casting was fine. I didn't love it and I didn't hate it. But while I was away from home, some personal issues popped up on top of many other personal issues I've been having over the past 6 months now, on top of law school and on top of not loving Flesh and Blood anymore at the moment. It's just not, the spark's not there. And I could keep showing up week after week, phoning it in and just being like, oh, here, welcome to the podcast, Flesh and Blood, yay. Like, that's not good for me. It's not good for Michael. It's not good for you. It's not good for anybody when you really think about it.
Mm-hmm. It's not.
All right.
So that's not what we're going to do
about all this, Michael. Are you replacing me? Are you kicking me off? Are you going to start the M&M cast with Michael Fung or?
No. So basically, I don't know what I want to do in the future. At some point in the distant time, maybe we'll come back and do something. Maybe I'll do another podcast with somebody else, but I'm not ready to start basically a new podcast or something with someone else right now. I'm gonna take some time. I'm just gonna put my head down and grind for Worlds, and then after Worlds, there's the Realm game thing that I need to get ready for, and then after that, I'll probably just take a break from Flesh and Blood for a little while, because my usual pattern with games is I usually like play a game pretty seriously for 3 months to a year, somewhere in that time window frame thing, and then I take some time off. And since we started the podcast, I don't think I've stopped playing Flesh and Blood, because we started a little over 2 years ago. We played for like 6 to 9 months before we started the podcast. And that's usually, I think
you took off like December last year. I think you played like almost no Flesh and Blood in the month of December after Worlds.
Yeah, that's true. I just did coaching sessions and the podcast. Basically, I didn't really play any, but I wasn't able to like remove myself from the game as much as I really intended to.
Right. Yeah.
Would have if I didn't have these other responsibilities related to the game. And so I think maybe at some point I will get back into content creation. But for now, I'm just gonna focus on playing the game that I still like the game quite a bit. I have been down about Lexi being the best deck for a while, but even Lexi was still fun to play when you got down to it. It was just the same. And yeah, so
yeah, and it's one thing so let's say you and I are frustrated with the particular state of Flesh and Blood for one reason or another, based on whining or things like that over the past 8-9 months, whatever. At least if we weren't making content or seen as community figures or anything like that, we could just step away and be like, screw it. I'm okay. Have fun playing your stupid Lexi mirrors, idiots. I'm just gonna go do anything else with my time than play Rain Razors and Three of a Kind. Something jump off a cliff. Yeah.
No.
But we can't. We're beholden to whatever the game presents for us, better or worse. And over the past 8 months or so, 9 months, year, for me personally, I felt the game has presented me with many more negatives than positives in terms of what the metas look like, what set releases have looked like, what has been viable and not viable. And it's at a point where I just don't particularly care about the game at the moment. I do say drafting is sweet. I like drafting bright lights, but as far as like, I was even looking at the meta or future meta after post Lexi, and I was looking like, okay, let's look at a cool new hero we could play. Let's try to sit down and think of something fun, and that could be tier 1, and we can go and potentially win a tournament with. And you know what I did? I brewed Great Axe Bolton, and that's not tier 1, and that's not going to win any metas or anything like that. That's not a real deck, and you know, that's fine. Like, my favorite hero doesn't have to be tier 1, and somebody else's favorite hero, I'm sure, will be tier 1 after this meta. And a lot of people's favorite hero in Lexi was their favorite tier 1 and the best deck for 8 months, and good for them. But now Lexi's about a living legend, and they'll have to find something else to do. And yeah, really, I miss talents. We were talking about that this morning. Like, talents were sweet. I loved talents. Just what a cool extra layer and system in the game. And that's just then, and that's, I'm sure that's a small part of why I'm not as satisfied with the game, because there was, when we started, you know, it was right after Monarch, right in Tales of Aria, and there's this cool elemental system and talents, and this is the future. And then after that, we get Everfest and Starbow, more talents, more elemental support. Then we get Uprising, and then there's Draconic and the sweet new Ice Wizard, and never again. There's never been another talent ever after that.
We got the Emperor, the Draconic.
I even like the Emperor. I thought that was going to be the future of Flesh and Blood, where they would start hybridizing classes and warrior and talents and that kind of stuff. And it's been the opposite, where they've super restricted. I guess we got the dual class things in Outsiders, but even that isn't. I guess just the overall flavor of it just isn't appealing to me as much as I thought it might be beforehand, I guess.
Yeah, I think Outsiders was a solid set. I think it was cool. And if it was the one non-talented set and like a small, like it was like in a sea of talented sets, and they're like, and here's Outsiders, we're trying split class, no talents, and seeing how it goes, and they go back to talents, then I think it would have gone over better. But I guess Dusk Till Dawn was talented, but it doesn't
not new
it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it didn't feel like we got a set of content, really, because none of that is basically nothing from Dusk Till Dawn is competitive or in the part of the meta game. So it, other than Warmonger's Diplomacy, so that didn't feel like a big set release. And then Bright Lights is one class and not talented too. So the drafting format is good. But
yeah, I like Outsiders draft and I like Bright Lights draft, but yeah, that's for sure.
So I guess ultimately what I do want to say is I have really enjoyed making the podcast over. It's all like a whole year and a half now. It's been we've been doing this for quite a while.
Longer than that. Oh yeah, I guess a year and a half. We started when Austin was born, and he's 18 months. So yeah, 18
yeah.
months.
So it has been a really good time. I have no regrets, even though things are ending sometimes. It's just time for things to end. And it was a really good experience. And I appreciate everyone that has supported us and followed us and just kind of been along for the ride. Yeah.
Yeah. And importantly, in case anybody's wondering about this, Michael and I believe, are still best friends. We won't be co-hosts anymore. We're leaving that aspect, but this isn't damaging our friendship or anything like that. If anything, it might improve our friendship because instead of recording Flesh and Blood on Tuesday nights, we can just hang out and play Street Fighter or Flesh and Blood or Sorcery or have dinner and play group games with our wives and stuff like that on Tuesday nights.
Me and Casey got a new board game called Everdell that I was thinking maybe we could bring over sometime and play with the four of us.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm all down for that. And, in 6 months, Austin will probably be functional enough that the 5 of us can play Candyland or something like that. I imagine you're amazing at Candyland. It's a deep and innovative game.
In Candyland?
You get to
I think you draw a card and do whatever it says.
Yeah, you get to pick the top part of the deck to draw it. It's a very meaningful decision to pick the card up, look at it, and then do the thing. Go that many spaces.
Okay. I might sit out Candyland, but
I think Austin's going to be great at Candyland, so it's fine. If you don't want to lose to a 2-year-old, I don't blame you.
You don't have to put that many decisions in a game before I'm interested, but there has to be more than 0.
That's fair.
That's my rule.
It is kind of sweet on paper, though, that they designed a 0 decision game for children. Like, cool. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one day Flesh and Blood will be a 0 decision game.
No, don't say that. I don't think that'll happen.
That's the level of complexity down ramp they want to go to. They've been winding down on complexity. Eventually it'll just turn into candy.
I didn't think their goal was to decrease complexity. I think it was just to decrease agency or increase variance, which I think are the same thing, decrease agency and increase variance.
I don't know. Power, whatever that subjectively means to whoever it may be, the power's cool. But yeah, touching on casting one last time, I don't know that even if I wasn't stopping away from the podcast, I would cast again. Because even on the podcast, I have to pull. I always say, like, I want to be me and I want to say what I want to say. I still can't say 100% of the things I want to say on the podcast. It's not a real unfiltered conversation between Michael and I. Those sound a bit different and have a bit more F-bombs. And if you want to hear me whine, you don't even know the levels of whininess that I can reach at my peak. My peak whine is but on a casting, I have to be even less of myself, I felt. And that's not fun. And I get that the real me is not something that a lot of people want to deal with or interact with, or people think is very negative. But, at the end of the day, I am who I am. And I will find people who want to interact with me in the limited basis that they do. I know I can be a lot, but I still find good people to surround myself nonetheless. And I think at the end of the day, I have a good heart and care and try to represent the best in the people around me, despite my trolly and over-the-top hyperbolic nature. But I get that when you're just seeing some guy on a screen or bitching on Twitter, that's not really what you're seeing or representing or getting. So at least I get to be me in the more genuine spaces where I feel loved and supported, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's easy for you, Michael. You're just a peach 100% of the time. It's easy for you to be yourself 100% of the time because you're just a genuinely nice, peachy person all the time. Must be nice.
Sometimes I get grumpy too. Not as often, but I get grumpy sometimes.
If you say so. I'll take your word for it.
You've seen me grumpy before.
Yeah, but like your grumpiness is still like me on like a medium day,
Your words, not mine.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I guess then the last thing is this isn't like goodbye forever. One day we might pick this thing back up. I might be interested in coming back to flesh and blood, and my life might not be on fire 100% of the time constantly with constant family and loved one issues and law school issues and baby not issues, but raising a small child and things like that. Like that should get easier as he gets older if he goes to school and daycare and things like that. And I won't always be an L1 in law school, which is the hardest part of law school from what I understand with my schedule dictated to me. It just was a lot. And at the end of the day, it's better to do this, like I said, than to just keep on doing it and then really burning out, hating the game, becoming a force that's genuinely actually toxic. So it's better than the alternative still, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good run and it's time for it to end.
For now.
Pause, at least.
Question
Pause.
mark. Ellipses. There might be a 77th episode one day, just not next week.
Mm-hmm. Not next month.
Maybe next year.
Well,
maybe.
Okay. Maybe next year. That sounds like a good time frame. Maybe 2024.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen in 2024. Yeah. That's too far away. When I even think about like the past year, I've only lived in this house for a year. Can you think about that? That's like, I feel like I've lived here forever. This has been my Austin's already like a year old, 1.5 years old, like I've been saying, but it's also feel like I've had him for forever now at this point. Just time is just so weird as you get older, man.
Yeah, and we've only been playing Flesh and Blood for a little over 2 years. It feels like it's been a part of my life forever.
And at the same time, I feel like it was just yesterday when we were just hopping on a last-minute flight to go to the sweet calling in Orlando. Like, oh, wait, there's a calling in Orlando that's class constructed and nobody knows how to play old time? Wow, that sounds like a good thing to do last minute. And I play Bolton anyways.
Yeah. But we didn't know anything. We'd only been playing CC for like 2 weeks.
And we already knew that everybody else was playing CC wrong. Or you did, at least. Ball lightning. Nice ball lightning. Here's my winner's winner. Take a frostbite.
4 and a frosty 4.
Channel like frigid. Oh, what's that? You have 2 blues in your whole deck? Okay, cool. Nice. Good luck playing the game, Briar.
I miss Winter's Whale.
We all miss Winter's Whale. Deep down inside. Except that card had to get banned because it was too good.
Well, also Old Time Living Legend, so it would have been gone anyway by now. But
yeah.
You can't play Old Time in Living Legend, but you can sure play Winter's Whale. I guess you can play Old Time, but you shouldn't.
It's a technically illegal decision to make. It's something you could theoretically do. If you really wanted to play Endless Winter. I was trying to think of what his specialization was. Endless Winter.
Yeah, Endless Winter's sick against Lexi.
It's like fine against Prism, but it doesn't matter because you could never win that matchup in a million years anyways.
Yeah, if you want to beat Prism, start with an Elemental Guardian. Starvo's your better bet, but it's not a great bet.
It's like fine into chain, kind of.
They can't shackle. Without getting
they
one
can make
frostbite.
a shackle. They just have to pay one extra resource.
Even when we're saying goodbye, we have to talk about Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what we're not talking about? How fun it was to get hit with an Infecting Shot, Endless Arrow, Rain Razors a million times in a row. That's not what we're fondly reminiscing about at the moment. Although I guess that was just happening last weekend. So
yeah. We can reminisce over putting Endless Maw or whatever. Not Endless Maw. What's the Void Wraith in our chain decks? That was a good time.
Yeah.
I love Void Wraith.
Maybe next year in 2024 I'll come back and I'll be like, oh, remember when Lexi was doing Endless Arrow Rain Razors? Remember then? Remember when that was fun?
Yeah. Okay, so one last thing I want to add is you're stepping away from the game. I think what has kept me in the game for so long outside of the podcast is the Wolfpack still love the Wolfpack. I'm gonna stay with them and keep doing tournaments with them probably. So I probably should have said that earlier when I was talking about what my plans are. But
You're not going to go to the Runaways now? You're not going to run away to the Runaways?
No. Though I have gotten closer with a lot of the Runaways guys the last few weeks at Dallas and St. Louis.
They're a good group of guys, except for
Yeah, they
Lucas. But he's like 17, so it's hard to be a good person when you're 17, you know?
I like Lucas.
I know, I like Lucas too, but I have to get some last minute trolling in before it's all done and over.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I want to go out my way, baby. That way I can look back and agree with Frank Sinatra.
I'm sure most of our audience gets that reference, but I did not.
I know you didn't, buddy. It's okay. I'll keep making lots of references in our friendship, even off the air, that you won't get, and I'll explain to you someday. You didn't even get the "See You Later" Rathe Cowboy reference. Oh yeah, because you didn't watch Cowboy Bebop. We talked about Cowboy Bebop at this beginning, and that was all come full circle.
It has. Ready to wrap things up?
Yeah. Well, next time I see you, Space Cowboy, always remember, mind your manners. Thanks for watching.